Um, Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Actuarial Science Specialization talk. I'm Wenjun, currently an assistant professor at the Division of Banking and Finance. Together with me is our alumni, Danny. Welcome, Danny.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
So today, Danny and I will give you a brief introduction of Actuarial Science Specialization. We'll talk about what actuarial science is about, what an actuary is, and what you are going to expect studying actuarial science at MBS. Okay, so let's get started. Actuarial science is a subject that handles different types of risk. In our everyday life, we encounter risk of different types, such as pandemic risk, health risk, traffic risk, climate risk, financial risk, cyber risk, and so on. We have so many different types of risks that we even come up with different names for them. For example, if a risk event that happens with very low frequency, but the results and the magnitudes are so severe, we can classify them as black swan events. For example, financial crisis and pandemic risks that we are experiencing right now can both be classified as black swan events. On the other hand, if a risk event that we know for sure they are going to happen, we know for sure that their results are significant, but it's just the question of when and how that we handle this risk. We can classify these risk events as gray rhino events. For example, global warming and climate change can be a gray rhino events. Risk is not always a bad thing. From actuarial professionals' perspective, risk can be opportunity, and opportunity can also be risk. For example, we have many new technologies right now, such as blockchain, cryptocurrency, all the digitalization technologies. These are new opportunities, but they also mean new risks. But on the other hand, risks for actuarial profession and insurance profession may also mean new business opportunities. So risk and opportunity are actually living together with each other. So the question is, what is actuarial science? Actuarial science is a problem-solving discipline motivated by the issues around management of risk. With mathematics, financial tools, statistics, and data analytics, our actuarial science graduates can have very solid technical skills and enhanced soft skills, and they work in different areas as actuaries, data scientists, risk analysts, consultants, and so on. So what is an actuary? An actuary is a highly regarded professional providing financial security for people, companies, and governments. Using mathematics, statistics, and data science, they measure and manage risk in many areas, including but not restricted to insurance and reinsurance companies, banks, investing groups, pension schemes, consulting firms, governments, and so on. Actuaries help business grow and provide value to their customers. Actuaries help policymakers make strategic decisions and consumers prepare for the future. So if you want to learn more about actuary story, you can also watch this YouTube channel. How do I become qualified? In other words, how can I become a fellow? To become a fellow, one needs education, experience, and professional qualifications. There are a few globally recognized actuarial professional bodies, including the Institutes and Faculty of Actuaries, IFOA from the UK, Society of Actuaries, SOA from the US, Casualty Actuarial Society, CAS, also from the US, and Institute of Actuaries Australia, IAA. If you enter our actuarial science program at MBS, you do well in our program and get exemptions for at most 6 subjects from the IFOA. They are CS1 and 2, CB1 and 2, and CM1 and 2. These 6 courses are almost halfway to become the fellow of the IFOA. And moving on, you have different choices. So you can either pass the remaining examinations from the IFOA or IAA to become their fellow, that is FIA or FIAA. And alternatively, if you want to, for example, work in the US or work in Canada, you can also transfer the credits you get from the IFOA and take examinations set by SOA or CES to obtain their fellows to become FSA or FCAS. Actuary is constantly ranked among top jobs by different rating agencies based on criteria including salary, reputation, career outlook, work-life balance, so on. A good characteristic of the career of an actuary is it's very predictable, especially in the early career stage. The career path is very steadily together with your achievements of examinations. For example, based on this survey, we can see that when you finish your associateship exams, you will enjoy a salary jump. And after you obtain a fellow, your salary will have another jump. So the more the experience you are in the organization, the higher your salary and the better your job career opportunities. For example, on average, a fully qualified actuary from CS, for example, the average salary can be $338,000 US. That's an average. So fully qualified actuaries with experience have very good continual promotion opportunities within the organization, as well as more and more managerial responsibilities and opportunities. So what you can expect from studying actuarial science at NBS? Here we offer Bachelor of Business with Actuarial Science Specialization. We also offer double degree with Actuarial Science Specialization. So this is the only one program of its kind in Singapore, and our courses are fully accredited by IFOA. So it means that here we offer a fast-track pathway to be credentialed as an actuary via exemptions. So if you do well in our program, you can get 6 exemptions, and then it's gonna be accelerate your career significantly. And as I mentioned just now, if you decide to work outside of Singapore in other countries such as US or Canada, you can also transfer your credits to SOA in the US for the equivalent courses. So it's very portable of the credits that you obtain here at NBS, no matter where you decide to work in your future. On how to qualify, we expect to have a very good performance in year 1 statistics courses. We expect you to have at least B+ grade. We also expect you to have satisfying performance in other related courses, including accounting, financial management, and economics. Here is the list of our actuarial core courses. You can see it's a very dynamic curriculum, and the institute keeps updating these curriculums based on the most cutting-edge technology development and modeling perspectives in the profession. So in these courses, for example, in actuarial aspects of asset valuation, you will learn how to price insurance and other financial securities. In courses such as statistical modeling models and actuarial statistics, you all learn different statistical models, machine learning models, and other predictive analytics models to help you to build a statistical mindset to solve different projection, prediction, and modeling tasks. And in courses such as actuarial computing, you will enhance your computing and programming skills. At NTU, we also have different students clubs. There are 2 students clubs that our actuarial science students work very actively, including Actuarial Science Club and Risk Management Society. So in these clubs, we maintain very close relationship with the industry and our alumni, and we constantly bring different speakers from the industry in to enhance the exposure of our students to the actuarial career path. We also offer many internship opportunities. First, our career service office works closely with the industry and our alumni, both domestically and internationally, to offer different internship opportunities to our students. And secondly, actuarial science is now also a work-study degree program, which offers our students an opportunity to go on internship for an entire semester from May to December with our partner companies. So this is an option, it's not compulsory. So for students who choose this work-study program, they can have this internship opportunity, and if they perform well, it's very likely that they will be offered full-time job after they graduate. And also students can earn academic credits for this extended internship program. These are the companies that our students join after they graduate, and you can see it's not only restricted to insurance and reinsurance industry. It also includes different financial institutes such as banks and other consulting firms, and also governments such as MAS. So who are we looking for? We welcome every one of you. So if you have passion, if you have interest to numbers, models, statistics, and if you have attention to detail, you are keen to talk to people, communicate to people, and you have good teamwork skills and the multitask and time management skills, then welcome to Actuarial Science program at NBS. We welcome every one of you. Actuarial Science is a discipline with over 150 years of history. We are making very long-term promises to our customers. So trust, honor, integrity, and reputation are very critical for this profession. And as a final closing remark, I want to say that becoming a qualified actuary and eventually a visionary leader is not an easy career path. But you will find all your hard work paid off in the end, because actuarial credentials bring infinite opportunities to our students in different areas. And finally, I will close my presentation today with a quote from the President of the United States. Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumph even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the great twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States. So this comes to the end of my presentation, and if you want to find more, welcome to go to the Institute and the Society's website, or you can go to these YouTube channels to watch successful stories of our actuaries. Thank you, and I'll pass the time to Danny, and he will share some of his experience at NBS. Yeah. Danny, the time is yours. Okay. Yeah, so before Danny starts, I want to give you a brief introduction of Danny. Danny is our outstanding alumni who studied a double degree of business and accountancy from 2015 to 2019. Danny performed very well in our actuarial science program. He is top student of 2 actuarial modules. So in actuarial science, we offer medals to top students in modules, right? So you win 2 of them.
Some cash award as well.
It's very impressive. Yeah. And Danny was on NBS Dean's List in 2017 and 2019. And while Danny studied double degree, he's more interested in actuarial science, and he served Vice President of the NBS Actuarial Science Club in 2018, and he did 3 internships in university, with 2 being actuarial related. Danny graduated in 2019, and he started working with AXA Insurance, which is a general insurance company. And then in 2021, Danny joined a consultant firm, Willis Tower Watson, right? And a very impressive thing about Danny is he cleared all his IFOA papers in the end of 2020. It's very impressive since you only graduate 1 year, right? So it's only 1 year after you graduate.
1 to 2 years.
Yeah, so it's so quick. Is it the quickest one among your peers?
Yeah, so yeah, I think there were like just 2 or 3 of us out of the batch of 50 who took that 2 years to qualify.
So you can share more about this experience later.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's a brief introduction for Danny, and I'll just pass time to Danny. Thank you.
So thanks, Prof. Jun, for your sharing and for the introduction. So hi, I'm Danny. To those who are watching live and those watching the recording. So I'm an MBS alumni. So I graduated from NTU from 2019, and I've been working for 3 years. And so I've been through these decisions that you guys might be looking to make. So whether you're a prospective student thinking of whether you should join MBS, or whether you're a current MBS student thinking if you should take up actuarial science. So I just wanted to share some of my own experiences. So maybe a bit of disclaimer, these are my own opinions. Take it with a pinch of salt. It might not be suited for everyone. And also I have an email on the slide, so if you really want some specific advice, you can reach out, feel free to reach out. Yeah, so I've broken down my advice into these 2 phases of my life, at these 2 crossroads. So the first one would be as a JC student. This would be some broader considerations, right? Because really there's so much out there, and it can be very overwhelming for a student, JC or poly student. So, but really it's 2 main questions at the end of the day. So firstly is what do I want to study, right? So what course do I want to study? And second of all would be where do I want to study, which university, local or abroad. And yeah, so that is in this table. And on the second column, you see that I'll break it down, these questions, into more specific considerations. So starting the first one, what do I want to study? So of course, I want to choose a course that plays to my strengths, right? So I advise you to really like look back at your school results, your CCAs, like how you've been doing so far in your educational life. And so for me back then, it was math and science, right? So I knew for sure that that was my strength. I mean, I did well in this kind of problem solving kind of stuff, as compared to say like writing an essay or in the humanities and arts areas. I was weaker in those. So so yeah, then narrowed down my options to more of technical kind of courses. And so in my research, I came across actuarial science, which as Prof. Jun has explained very well, requires a lot of technical abilities, numerical abilities. And so if you go see the third column, this is where I try to look back now. So now that I'm 20 years old, I'm like 10 years later, I try to look back and think, reflect on my decision back then. So on this first point, I must say that my analysis was quite good. So this point is quite true. You do really require a lot of technical abilities, both in studying actuarial science and also pursuing actuarial career. Right, so in studies, I'll elaborate on this more, but there will be a lot of math and numerical problem solving involved. And also at work, so almost all the actuaries I've came across, they're very comfortable dealing with numbers. They're very strong at problem solving, even though they might be like out of school for quite a while, they still have very strong fundamentals. So of course, there are definitely other qualities required, especially in a corporate setting. You know, then all sorts of different soft skills. But really, the fundamental is that you have to be comfortable working with numbers. Okay, so the second point on deciding the course I wanted to study. So this is a very pragmatic decision. I think all Singaporeans would definitely think about this. So it would be career opportunities, right? What kind of jobs are out there after you graduate? So from my research, again, so I think Prof. Jun has covered this. You can see all the reports online, news reports, articles that says that, okay, actuaries have very good, make a decent living, good work-life balance, stable career and all that. And so that's where, well, for me back then as a JC student, I didn't have other avenues to really consider. So that was what I based my decision on. And now looking back then, I think it is still quite true, right, in a broader sense. So stability, salary, hours, it's all there for me. I'm happy with where it is. But so a bit of caveat is that it also depends on what you're comparing against, right? And what you really want out of it. Are you comfortable with working very long hours? Do you want to pursue a high, sacrifice some of that working hours, some of your personal life for higher salary and so on? And I'll talk more about this later on as well. But I think in a broader sense, so if you're looking at the average across all university degrees, there are some resources out there like the Graduate Employment Survey. You can see the average starting salary of an undergrad. I would say definitely MBS Actuarial Science graduates, it's above average. Yeah, this is an attractive point. So the last consideration back then would be other options, right? So I'm sure all of you will consider this as well. The more popular options would be like engineering, computer science. These are very traditional, it's very popular now also. Whereas in contrast, actuarial science may seem like a very niche field, right? So, and for me, it's same as well. I don't think I've heard of actuarial science, I mean, growing up. This was something I came across during my research. But in the end, I went with actuarial science. And looking back now, 10 years later, well, honestly, so this really my own opinion. So to be perfectly truthful, it's very hard to say like how things might turn out otherwise, right? Like you can always think like, oh, like if I've chosen to study something else, am I doing something different? But then again, like, I mean, so there's always, you might complain sometimes, but then there's sometimes where you think that, oh, like my life is so good. But all in all, I mean, so I can't give you a perfect answer. But personally, I'm happy with the way things have turned out. And if you are have the same dilemma, my advice is just that to do your research, talk to more people, and best of all is to try it out if you can. So if you are really interested in, say, computer science, try out programming, right? So there's so much resources online nowadays. Give it a shot. Actuarial science, there's a lot of resources online as well. You can go through, in fact, even like some of the exams questions if you're interested, the syllabus and all that. Yeah, so really this is a decision of your own. I don't think anyone can give you the right answer for this. Okay, so the next aspect, which is where do I want to study? So that is which university, right? So the first big question is whether to study local or abroad. I think this should be a common question as well. So for me, my consideration was that school fees, one of it, studying in Singapore, generally because there's subsidies as a PR, as a citizen, so that would be more affordable. And second of all, back then I wanted to be closer to home, to my parents. And I think this is even more relevant now, given the COVID situation, given how the geopolitical scene has evolved over the past few years and all that. So and looking back now, so I think choosing to study in Singapore I had no regrets at all. I had a great experience. If you're thinking about the independence, right, staying alone, NTU offers a great hostel life. So I stayed on campus in hall like from all the way up to like my year 4. Yeah, so almost my entire school life. Those were like some of my most fond memories staying on campus. I make very close friends. In fact, I met my fiance in NTU, MBS Actuarial Science. Yeah, and this is something like I think it might be a bit more difficult if you're studying abroad because after all, it's a different culture. You're away from home, and yeah, I got to spend more time with my parents, which as now more than ever as you grow older, it becomes especially relevant. So after choosing to study in Singapore, the next question is just which university. And to me, this was a very straightforward question because I really decided that I want to consider actuarial science, right? And if you're considering actuarial science, I would say the decision to study in NTU is quite a clear one for me, at least. Because NTU's, as Prof has mentioned, NTU's actuarial program is the only program in Singapore to be accredited by IFOA. And to be accredited meaning, by extension, means that you will get exemptions for your exams, right, towards becoming a qualified actuary. And by this point, I think you should be aware that being a qualified actuary is a huge milestone towards the actuarial career path. So it would be similar as a lawyer passing his bar, or an accountant becoming a public accountant, right? And looking back now, this is really no question again. Studying NTU's actuarial program, I got my exemptions from this program. It really saved me a lot of time. So Prof mentioned that it is true that I passed my exams very quickly in 2 years, less than 2 years. But a big part of it is because I got my exemptions. And if I compare to some of my peers who study other universities, they are really equally as talented, equally as hardworking, but they are just still a bit slower on the exam progression, and that's because they didn't have this opportunity. So really, this is the key consideration for me back then. Yeah. So now you made a decision to join NTU. So next decision for year 1 MBS students, choosing a specialization. Okay, so again, so for me, because I already decided to come to NTU to study actuarial science, so personally I didn't have a hard time choosing my specialization. Yeah, even after year 1, I was still quite certain I wasn't swayed by other causes. But I would share some of my thoughts on this and some common questions I've heard from my peers, from juniors. Yeah, so the first one would be schoolwork. Right, so you've been through the first year of MBS, so you will have a sense of what the curriculum requires, what is involved, the exams, the project work, and all that. And you might think, so your options, I would say, you might be thinking of actuarial science, and some other common options would be like risk management, banking and finance, business analytics, right? So all these, I would say, there are some overlaps in terms of the skill set required. They are all quite more analytical, numerical, numbers involved. But how I would distinguish actuarial science from the rest of them is that actuarial science modules are really very technical, right? So I cannot emphasize this enough. We really did a lot of math. We focused on the underlying principles, and we really derived a lot of the financial formulas, financial models from first principle, basically. So example would be like asset valuation, which Prof mentioned. Asset valuation, so pricing financial derivatives, financial products, this is something that B&F students do as well, right? But for them, I think when I compared with my friends, at least back then, they focus more on application of the formula. They will learn the formula, they will learn how to apply it, but they wouldn't really learn how to derive the formula, right? And that is a very difficult part. I'm sure Prof would be aware with all the students. Yeah. So I think this is a bit of personal preference, how you like to learn things. And for me, I really liked it. Of course, it's challenging, but I think there is really a lot of value to learning things from scratch, learning things by first principle, all the way from the fundamentals, what is the math underpinning it, and building up to that application of coming out with that financial formula. And through that process, you have you gain a very perfect understanding of it, and once you have the fundamentals, it's very hard for you to forget it. But of course, yeah, if you're someone who really prefers just looking at a real world application, looking at the markets, going to that straight away, this might not be of as much interest to you. Yeah, and but just to add on to that, so in the undergrad courses, it's true that it's a lot more of math, and you might find that there's less application. So for example, there's not as much project work compared to other business courses, right, who has a lot of project work involved. But now looking back, I can tell you that the future exams, so in the whole actuarial exam path, is really just these first few core technical exams that focuses on this math. And beyond that, is really a lot of essay writing, case studies and all that. So you focus more on the application as you go on. So don't worry if you feel that might be lacking. Okay, so the next consideration would be in terms of career opportunities, and specifically the industry. I think that's a huge consideration that you think about. So I would say this is really speaking a bit of a generalization, but really actuaries traditionally work in the insurance industry, right? So this is, of course, you have exceptions with actuaries going on to wider fields. Banking is quite common as well, but traditionally I would say majority is really just insurance industry. And to most people, this might not seem very attractive, especially if you're comparing against banking or big tech companies. But I have the same sentiments at first. I think to the average consumer, this insurance might not seem like a very exciting field. But I would say that now, having worked in the industry for a few years, I would say insurance actually is a very sophisticated business. It serves a lot of socio-economic purposes, so it's something you can stand behind. And there's a lot of depth beyond what we might be exposed to as an average consumer. And so just to add on to that, so the people who have gone far in their career, I would say, people I've spoken to more senior, who is giving me advice, what I found about them is that they all have a strong sense of purpose to what they're pursuing in their career. So if they're working in the insurance industry, they really believe in what they're doing. They believe in insurance being a huge a backbone of the financial system, being a social safety net for the people. It is a social good. And I think generally, if you want to go far in your career, you need to have that purpose to believe in what you're doing. And what I can say about insurance is that this might seem a bit like philosophical or like a bit not very concrete, but really like insurance is something that it is a necessity in the society and the economy, and it is easy to stand behind that purpose. Okay, and the next point is that, so actually within the insurance industries, actuaries are very well respected. That is again because of the qualifications, that difficult process we have to go through, and once become qualified, there is that recognition. People know that you have to go through that stringent kind of selection process. They understand that you are trained. And yeah, so because of that, you are in a very good position within the industry. You have very good knowledge of the industry. And because of that, many of the actuaries will go on to hold positions of authorities. Yeah, so be in the company, you can be a CEO, CFO, CRO, and so on, or even in wider fields, yeah, in the government and so on. Right, and the last point on industry is that, so you might be thinking, so why is there this qualification even in the first place, right? Why is there this exam path, and why is it so important? Why is it that everyone is placing such huge emphasis on it? And one reason I can offer to that is from the regulatory lens. Okay, so you need to be a qualified actuary to sign off on certain financials. And you can think about it as, so insurance companies, they are very big companies. They hold a lot of money, right? They collect money from the consumers. And someone needs to be there to make sure that the insurance companies are, everything is in check, right? So everything, the financials is clear, and it is a correct representation of what they actually have. So that's where the actuaries come in. They're the ones ensuring that they are fair and unbiased, so they're representing the interest of both the companies and also the consumers, right? So there is, from regulatory lens, there's always the need for qualified actuaries to be the one certifying this. So if you think about it from that way, the actuarial profession is quite a stable one. Okay, and the next point, yeah, so this will be on the job and the pay. So this is something that has already been mentioned. So actual career path, because of the exam progression. So because of the exam progression, it presents a very clear and steady progression, right? You take exams one by one, and with each exam, you get more recognition, you get you get salary increments and so on. And once you've passed our exams, you become qualified actuary, you'll be in good demand, you'll be in good hands. Okay. So this is where I wanted to compare a bit. If you're thinking about pursuing a finance or data analytics career path, so I would say that, to be honest, there might be more upside in terms of salary, right? If you're working in a bulge bracket brand, if you're working in a big tech company, it's true that the salary upside is higher. But I would say for sure that there would be an equivalent downside to it. You'll be spending longer hours. The job is going to be more stressful. Right? I don't think I've met anyone who's really been able to achieve to get a high-paying salary, high-paying job without making the necessary commitments. So this is where I would say this is something that you have to think about. What is your appetite? What do you want to achieve from a career? And yeah, where do you want to draw the line? Yep, so there is my sharing.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you, Danny. It's very, I'm very curious how you, so looking back your experience at MBS, how would you summarize your study experience? For example, you mentioned that you prefer actuarial science better than accountancy.
Yes.
Yeah, so from a double degree student's perspective, how do you compare your experience? Because I know as an actuary, one also needs some accountancy knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So it's also very important. So I believe your double degree actually strengthen your advantage when you seek for jobs.
Yeah. So I would say yes. Probably like say so. Studying accounting does help me, especially now that I'm working, right? But honestly, when I was studying, the overlap is less.
Oh, okay.
I would say actuarial science modules amongst myself and my peers at least, the consensus was that actuarial modules are a lot tougher compared to any other modules we've taken. So as a student, there was definitely a challenge. But looking back now, I'm definitely glad that there is this standard there, right? And because of that, I managed to learn a lot. And also during the process of studying for the exams, taking all these grueling exams, we make a lot of friends. Yeah, so it is a challenging process, but rewarding, that's what I would say. Yeah.
So I know that you, besides study, in your undergrad life, you also have experienced very colorful life. You met your fiance, you have some romance on campus, you make friends, you take very, very active part in students' clubs, all these activities. So how did you handle all this multitask, challenge? How do you manage your work? Especially the curriculum for actuarial science students are very tight.
Yeah. I would say, I would say it's really about trying to enjoy the process. So for me, I mean, all the extracurriculum activities that I did, they were things that I wanted to do. So let's say I took part in a certain case competition. It's because I felt that the project was something interesting, and I'll try to develop a topic that I'm actually interested in. So that's just an example, but really like the activities I take part in, I try to not see as something as a job I have to juggle, but more of something that I have interest in, and beyond that, it's just about prioritizing and all that. So that's you definitely need to have work ethics and all that in place. But I think once you enjoy it, and so for actuarial science, personally, I quite enjoyed studying for it, even though it's challenging, but it's very rewarding, right? So, and because actuarial science, it's problem solving. So if you know the knowledge, you're able to solve the problem. So I think it's something that is very commensurate with how much you studied. Whereas in contrast to some project work, it's a bit more subjective. You know, sometimes you might think that, okay, I put a lot of effort into this project work, but I didn't get a good grade. I'm sure many people have came across this experience as a student. But for actuarial science, it's like just like a math exam. There's one right answer. There's workings to derive the answers. If you know it, you get it. You get the marks. It's correct. Yeah. So that was enjoyable to me, and yeah. So I mean, it's really about doing what I enjoyed, and beyond that, it's about setting that work ethics, like balancing your responsibilities, getting a priority straight, and all that, coming up with a plan. Yeah.
So some of our prospective students are interested in selecting a minor. So I'm wondering, I know you are a double degree student, so you do not need to think of that, but do you have any suggestions if some single degree students want to study actuarial science, but at the same time studying some minors? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, so I think there are definitely a few good choices I can think of. One right off my head would be computing. So this is something my friends from Actuarial Science actually did. So from what I've gathered from him, especially at work now, right? So computing skills is a huge asset to have as a student, as a fresh grad, sorry. So and the nature of work of actuary is very data driven to begin with. So slowly it's definitely evolving to requiring more computer skills. So having that computer skills is definitely important. So that minor, so you're thinking about something that has synergy with the actuarial science degree, and then computing would be one of it. But if you're thinking about exploring other options, I mean, after all, in university, it is a time when you can explore different things, right? Then, I mean, personally, I would think you can really try anything that you want. But yeah, Prof, what do you think?
I fully agree with you. If I were to choose one minor, I think computer science is a good choice. Especially data science are now very popular, very hot. And especially actuarial science have a lot of overlap with data science. So studying computer science is going to be a good choice. I think if one student do not want to be so technical, maybe one can also choose risk management or maybe finance, right, as the minor candidates.
Yeah, that's true also. Yeah, I think risk management is a good point because actually for me, when I'm taking the further exams in actuarial science, some of it actually does overlap with risk management, what they have learned before.
Yeah. So just actuarial science is more technical, right?
Yeah, in the beginning. So, but towards the end, it gets more application based. I realized that it's quite aligned with what they're teaching.
Yeah, so now you are a fully qualified actuary. Is your life different? How do you feel right now as a fresh qualified actuary?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's definitely, so when I became qualified, it's definitely a very joyous occasion, very happy that I achieved it. But at the same time, it also means that I have to make more decisions, a new decision now, right? So now I made a decision as an MBA student, made a decision as a JC student, and since then I've stuck to it, and I've just followed this exam progression. It's a very clear path. But now that I'm done with it, it's time to explore what's next.
Yeah, other opportunities.
Other opportunities, correct. Yeah, so how to continue improving myself.
Yeah. Good to know. I think our time is very restricted, so unfortunately we have to stop here. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
and
it's a pleasure.
yeah, thank you everyone joining us virtually. If you have other questions, welcome to send us emails. And thank you again. Let's end this session. Thank you.
Choose NBS because it empowers you to be your best.
Because it helps to discover a better you for the future that you dream of.
Basically, to find ourselves and to learn how you can make an impact in this world.
Come to NBS to experience a different you. See you at NBS.
See you at NBS.
See you at NBS.
See you at NBS.
I look forward to seeing you at NBS.